Hey class, good afternoon and welcome back to Introductory Psychology. Welcome to week 6 of the course. I'm recording this on a Saturday, a very beautiful, beautiful Saturday. It's nice and pretty outside. I'm actually stuck inside working on my own homework. I'm taking a course on intelligent data analytics, and right now I'm working on a homework assignment. I needed to take a break. I needed to take about 5 minutes or so to get away from it. Sometimes you're working on stuff really intently, and and you're stuck, and then the best formula or best solution is just to walk away from it and do something else. Let your mind kind of think about something else. So that's what I'm doing right now. I thought, what a great time. Let's record a video and think about something else. Let's think about this week of our class and think about memory, the topic we're going to cover this week. So to start with, I wanted to just remind you that response paper 4 is due tomorrow night, Sunday night, 11:59 p.m. I think a few of you have turned them in, turned your response paper 4 in. I haven't read those yet. I will probably tomorrow, but I'll start grading those probably tomorrow, Sunday, and start getting you some feedback. So can't wait to look at those and see what, see how you personally connect and what you found interesting with classical and operant conditioning. So as an additional segue, I really enjoyed reading your discussion post this week on classical and operant conditioning. I thought it was really cool to read your own personal examples. I know some of you, I think I had to kind of provide a little bit of redirection in terms of maybe you're mixing up operant and classical conditioning or mixing up some of the terms. But overall, I thought those of you who completed the discussion post, you had a pretty good understanding of the difference between the two and kind of how they work in terms of learning. And what I really thought was interesting is I don't think we've discussed it in the text or much yet, but I like how a lot of you brought up examples of like phobias in relation to classical conditioning. So, when we talk about learning, we learn to be afraid of things and we develop phobias through experiences, sometimes personal, sometimes vicariously. And the cool thing is that, about learning those phobias, they also can be unlearned, which we'll talk about, I think, in a later chapter. But, I just think it's really interesting how some of you intuitively made that connection between, phobic experiences and classical conditioning, because that's a lot of the same principles go sort of hand in hand. So, again, I really enjoyed reading all the examples, but those are the ones that kind of stuck out to me. I thought that was really cool that you were making those connections. So, anyways, there's that. Let's see. For this week, some good news. Some good news I'm sure you'll like to hear is that there is no discussion post. I'm not assigning a discussion post for this week. There will be a response paper on Chapter 6 on the contents of a video related to Chapter 6. But let me talk about Chapter 6 first. This is a really interesting topic. It's a topic called memory. So we're going to be kind of diving into cognitive psychology and exploring the topic of memory. And my recommendation to you is to think about memory not as a noun, not as like you have memories, but think of memory as a verb, as something that we do. We construct memories. Memory formation or construction is a process, and I can't state this enough that process is oftentimes subject to error. It's subject to change. It's subject to flaws, and our memories are not perfect. It's not like somebody, there's like a tape recorder or a video recorder in our mind, and we just hit record and then hit play, and we remember exactly as it happened. That's not exactly how it works. We kind of construct memories from the ground up each time. And each time we reconstruct a memory, it's prone to change. It's prone to bias. Oftentimes I find it really interesting. People debate, they get in arguments. Well, this happened. Well, no, this happened. X happened, Y happened. And, it's probably more likely than not that both of the two people arguing about over a memory are probably both wrong. They're probably both remembering it wrong. And maybe there's somewhere in the middle that's the truth. So, humans have a really strong ability, like cognitive ability as terms of memory is concerned, but it is by no means perfect. So think of memory as something that we do. We construct memories from the ground up. So this chapter, you're going to be able to define what memories are, and you'll also be able to differentiate between different types of memories, getting into remembering things from the past, remembering things in the future, prospective and retrospective memory. We're going to look at the information processing model of how memories are created. So moving from the stage-like process from sensory memory to short-term to long-term. In fact, actually, it's not even called short-term memory anymore. It's now referred to as working memory. Oftentimes, you'll hear those used interchangeably, but short-term memory is what we used to call the second stop in the information processing model. Now it's working memory. It's the ability to pull things out of long-term memory and manipulate them. That's why it's called working memory. So you'll read about that. You'll also look at what I think is a really interesting part of this chapter, why we forget. There's a lot of reasons why we forget. There's different stages in how we form memories, and typically we forget because we messed up along the way. There's encoding, there's storage and retrieval. We forget oftentimes because maybe we didn't encode the information correctly. Where, maybe when you're at a party and you're talking to you meet somebody at a party and you're talking to them and you're trying to remember their name a few days later, but you can't because, there was a party going on and all kinds of people talking around you and stuff going on. So maybe you just didn't correctly encode that information. So when you try to remember that person's name, you're like, I don't remember at all. Or we just failed to retrieve it, for various reasons. And we're also going to get into topics like amnesia. That's a whole nother, set of issues for why we forget things or don't remember things. So, and then finally, we're going to look at how the brain is related to to memory. I'm sorry, not amnesia, but to memory. There are different parts of the brain that are associated with different types of memories. For example, your muscle memory, memory of just how to do stuff, physical tasks, is related to your cerebellum, the back of your brain, the part of your brain that's involved with motor movement, just moving your body. Whereas your memory of facts, memory of your 5th birthday and your graduation from high school or other big events in your life, those memories are stored in the hippocampus, part of the limbic system. Part of the higher brain regions. So there's a lot of different brain parts kind of going on and with different types of memories. So pay extra attention there. It's going to be a lot of reminder from chapter 2. So it should be familiar. So that is really it for chapter 6. You're going to read a lot about memory. I think this is one of the more interesting chapters we cover in the entire course. I think that you can use some of the tips and ideas that are presented in this chapter to enhance your memory, to have a better memory. Because also, as I said, memory is a verb. Memory is also a skill. You may think to yourself right now, I have a bad memory. I forget to do this. I forget to call people on their birthday. You forget all kinds of things. And that's true. We have a lot on our plates. But memory is like a muscle. The more you work it out, the better it gets. So there are things that you can do to challenge your memory. Cell phones are both a benefit and I think sort of a downside to our memories. I can remember anything now because I can set a reminder on my phone, and that's great. But at the same time, I don't have to store phone numbers in my head anymore. That's kind of nice. But think if you were ever in an emergency and you didn't have your cell phone and you needed to remember a phone number. Maybe you remember a couple of phone numbers that maybe your parents or somebody like that. But it's not as we're kind of there's weird effects going on with our memories in terms of cell phone technology and whatnot. So, anyways, kind of going on a little bit of a tangent there, but yeah, so read chapter 6 this week. There is no discussion, but there is a response paper. This week, I want you to watch a TED Talk that I'm posting, another TED Talk. I hope you like the TED Talks. I love them. A TED Talk by an absolute rock star in the field of memory, and that is Dr. Elizabeth Loftus. I'm going to show you a TED Talk by Dr. Loftus about false memories. In fact, you can have memories that are not real. People can implant false memories into your brain. Typically, they're really minor things. But this research is very, very fascinating, and it actually shows how false memories have been used to put people in prison, wrongfully putting people in prison when, say, they committed crimes and they really didn't. So I want you to watch the TED Talk and respond to the weekly reading responses that I give you. Give me a summary of it, tell me what you found interesting, and then tell me something you can take away from it and you can apply to your own life, your own experience, or whatever. So that is really it for week number 6. Turn in response paper 4 if you haven't done so. Read chapter 6, and then complete response paper 5. No discussion this week, no discussion, so don't worry about that. Don't worry about posting, don't worry about responding. There won't be anything to respond to. So with that said, I'll leave you be. I'll let you go and enjoy the rest of your weekend. I think as of right now, as I'm recording this, OU hasn't played. I don't think Oklahoma State has either, so I don't have good news to report there. But anyways, yeah. That's it for week 6. I look forward to seeing you all next week for week 7. Respond to this email, respond to this video. If you have any questions, any concerns whatsoever. Other than that, I hope you all have a wonderful week, and I'll talk to you later. All right, bye.